Hi folks, let's do some Tai Chi. Let's start by doing a first third, just for our warm-up today. And go ahead. Okay, so some of the things I'm always looking for in my Tai Chi practice are how can I do the form or do any of the Tai Chi activities, interactives or the various drills and exercises. How can I do all of those with really two things in mind? One of them is not using force. And so, that's kind of ordinary in terms of Tai Chi goals, but it's actually really difficult to find all the places where I force something and figure out how to do it without forcing it. And the flip side of that is having the movements actually be authentic, having there be a meaning for what I'm doing. So what I find is that I use force where I am doing something arbitrary, where the changes I'm making with the whole body, with my awareness, with my internal energy, I don't actually get the external effect that I want, and so I just do it. while we were just doing that form, I was noticed myself as I was coming from White Crane into Brush Knee, getting to this point and just dropping my hand. So I know the arm swings, the other hand comes up, the one hand drops, the other hand folds over, and I step. And so I executed that correctly, and I just moved my hand. I came up through here, and then I just dropped my hand. And then I had something that was okay for doing the rest of it. But in that moment, that dropping of the hand wasn't authentic, wasn't an expression of a change that I was making internally. And as a result, I used some force. And so I think part of the challenge that as Tai Chi practitioners we face is day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, we need to keep looking at what we're doing and being really pretty demanding with ourselves and saying, okay, that was fine 5 years ago or last year or last month, but now I'm aware of the inauthenticity, the arbitrariness of that movement, and it was brought to my attention because I had to use force. When I'm just dropping that hand, I'm just doing it with local muscular tension. And so while you're doing the form, I think this is what we want to be eternally looking for. There's only 37 moves, and so, if you did one a week, you'd be through them all in a year. And then you could do it again. But for each of them, what you want to figure out is, how do you make all of the little bits of that move happen because of your changing relationship with ground, because of your awareness moving through the body, because of changes that you make in the center that can then play out through the entire open, relaxed body, as opposed to some choreography that you memorized. You should feel good about memorizing the choreography because that's not easy, but because some choreography that you memorized and now you're forcing it. And so that's going to change as your skill gets better and your understanding gets better. So what last year felt authentic and integrated, this year to me feels like, oh wow, there's another place where I'm using some force. And so people will ask us, how do you do this? How do you make this particular thing happen in a move? And what I don't want to do is give you more external choreography, because that's just another opportunity to force something. What I do want to do is try to bring your awareness to what can I be doing on the inside in order to make that happen? And where are the little places where my skill or my understanding is lacking, and so I end up using force. And so, on this one, as I'm coming across here, all this is really nice, but I don't have a good way to drop this hand, and so I just drop it. And so, that's not a big part of the move, that little bit right there. That's not a big part of the move. And so it's easy to overlook it and let myself use a little force. And last year or 5 years ago, I would have been really pleased about the way the other hand was swinging up, and I was using my waist to turn it over and bringing it back, and everything was arriving together. I would have thought, that is much better than I was doing earlier. And that's true, but now I got to deal with that hand dropping. So I just want to encourage you to keep looking at every little bit of the practice and finding those places where you use some force and where you have something inauthentic, where you do something arbitrary to match an external shape that you've come to expect. And so what that means is, if we look at a move this year and then we look at it again next year, or we looked at it 2 years ago and now we look at it again now, we might emphasize different things. And that's both because our understanding is deepening, because my exploration of what I'm doing and the places where I move arbitrarily with force is continuing and I'm becoming aware of those, and because we're trying to help you find ways to do it from the internals, and so we might emphasize different things at different times. So I want to spend a little time today looking at the end of the first third and the transition into the rest. So from the withdraw and push at the end of the first third through to crossing hands, and we'll start out with standing up, and then before we finish, we'll move on to doing embrace tiger, return to mountain. So that's what we're going to do. Let's just run through it a couple times just to familiarize ourselves with it. Beth will face the canonical direction. I will face the heterodox direction, and that way I'll end up facing you at the end of it. So start from the punch. And go ahead. We're just going to run through it. So, sitting back, the push, sit back, shift, the hands drop, bring the foot back, cross the hands, and stand up. So that segment again, from the punch, and go ahead. Once more. Punch and continue. Okay, so let's take some of the little bits of that apart. And the first thing I want to look at is how the hands cross. And so take it from the push here. Sit back, the forearms extend. Turn, allowing that to play out, aware of the pinky side of the right hand, like a W, not a diamond. As you shift, feel the pinky side of the arms cutting through the air. That'll make the arms rotate so that right as you get to the bottom here, the palms are up, the foot has pivoted. Step back and shift and cross your hands. Drop the hands and stand up. So, particularly I want you to pay attention to this outside blade of the forearm and the pinky side of the hand on both hands. So when we come through here, this isn't just, this can feel nice where you drop with the palms down, but I'll show you why I don't like to do that in a second. I want you to really pay attention to this pinky side of the arm as the hand cuts through the air. And what you'll see is that by doing that, that causes the hand to rotate so that the palms are up at the bottom. As opposed to the palms staying down and getting to the bottom here with the hands facing the body. As the pinky side of the arm and the blade of the forearm leads through the air, you'll end up with the palms rotated and up. So do that again from the push. Sitting back. Right away you're paying attention to the pinky side of the right arm. And now both hands cutting through the air with that blade of the forearm and the pinky side, rotate so the palms are up when you get to the bottom. And right at that time, you've got all your weight in the back and the foot has finished pivoting so that the 2 feet are parallel, even though they're not in a line side to side yet. Do that again. Sit back. Feel the pinky side of the right arm. Feel both blades of the forearms and pinky sides as the hand come through the air. And the right foot pivots, and you've shifted the weight at the right time. Once more. Sitting back, turning, pinky sides of the arms. And now bring the foot back, shift 50-50 and come into cross hands. And then stand up. So I'm not going to belabor this, but part of why I really want the pinky side so that the palms come up is because of what happens next with the arms. When I do this, and this is nice, that deflection palm down, but you see a couple things that tends to do. Watch my wrists. It tends to make the wrists bend. So as you're doing that, you'll feel a lot different if you let the hands just drop like this rather than getting any tautness in the wrist. The other thing that happens is when you get to the bottom and you've done the push down, the hands are here, and then this is just like closing a zipper. The hands just come up for no particular reason. If you can get to the last part here where the palms are up, then each hand has a direction. Each hand goes up towards its opposite corner, its opposite upper corner, and as the two hands do that, the cross appears rather than just kind of zippering up. So zippering up can feel really soft, but it's a little meaningless. So let's do it so you can get that experience with both of those, and then I'll actually get on to the piece I'm interested in. So from the push, sit back and turn. Okay, leading with the pinky sides this time so the hands end up palm up at the bottom. Okay, and bring your other foot back. And now think, the right hand is going to go up to the upper left-hand corner. The left hand is going to go up to the upper right-hand corner. And do that, and the two hands come together. So just back to palm up, shift. Each hand goes to its opposite corner, and you end up with the arms nicely crossed. Once more, shift. Each hand goes to its upper opposite corner, ending up with the hands nicely crossed. Let's zipper now from the push. Sit back. Okay, now the palms just stay down. Watch for any tendency to tighten the wrists. Palms just stay down, palms just stay down, palms just stay down. Facing the body, bring it back. And now bring them up and feel that zipper. Shift back into the left leg, palms facing the body. Bring them up, feel that zipper. So it's the hands aren't doing anything except going to a crossing. Okay, once more, and this time let's get to palms up, and each finger goes to its opposite upper corner. Go ahead, sit back and turn. Pinky sides leading through the air. Arms rotate, palms up. Bring back the foot. Shift. And the crossing happens because the two hands have a direction to go. And then stand up. Great. So that's an example of looking for not arbitrary motion. What do you do from the inside so that the arms end up crossed rather than trying to achieve the crossed effect from the outside? This, I'm just performing the choreography. This, my two hands have a direction to go. And then we do the next bit. So the thing I'm actually interested in for today on this, and then I think Beth will probably look at what happens as we go into Embrace Tiger. The thing I'm interested in is these alternations of full and empty. And so we tend to start out paying attention to full and empty in the legs. And so, when one leg is full, the other leg is empty. When one leg is full, the other leg is empty. But there's also bellows and breathing and expansion and a contraction in the postures where the final postures have a fullness, and then from that fullness we let go to start the motion into the next posture. Right, so we've talked about this a lot of times. Just do ward off left into ward off right with me. So actually take it, we've just done the opening move. And so you're going to go into ward off left. As you step and shift, everything is small. And as you come into the final posture, this is expansive. You release and everything gets small again. That starts you moving so that you're ready to come into the next expansive posture. So doing that again. We've just done the opening move. So shift and turn. Okay, and the piece I want you to pay attention to is as you shift right through here, everything is small. And then it fills, the whole posture fills, and then you release, and that starts you into moving to the next one. Once more, I don't care if we actually get into ward off right. What I'm interested in is this small coming into ward off left, expansive, a fullness through the whole posture, and then a release to come into ward off right. So, once more, just on the opening move. So, go ahead. As you step and start to shift, feel how this is small, and then the whole posture fills, and then that you can let go of to get into the next posture. So that bellows, that filling of the whole body, and a release to start the next move is happening all the way through the form. Now, it's not like a metronome. It's not tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Everything isn't even. It's alive. It's not mechanical. And so sometimes we overlook really small plays in the bellow, really small inflations and releases, really small expansions and contractions. And some of that is going on here in this move at the end. So let's take it from the push after the punch. Sit back and turn. When you get to this W place, feel that this is expansive. And now release. Everything is getting smaller as the hands come down. And you bring your foot back and the hands start to move towards each other. As you come into cross hands, this is a filling. So we'll do that again, but just to be explicit. So, I've come through to the push and I release. There's an emptying. I fill all the way through here. This is big, expansive. And now I release, which brings everything down. And I let my foot step back. And now this needs to be a filling as I come into the cross hands. Not... So I'm not just letting everything out. I'm not letting all the air out of the shape. I'm not letting all of the energy out of the shape. So even though cross hands is sitting down here, it's a full expansive posture like this one was here. Full expansive, it's obvious, but cross hands needs to fill again. And so you're going to have this full, emptying, filling as you come into cross hands. So let's do that a couple more times. Sit back and turn. Feel that this is full. Release as your arms cut through the air. Step, and now fill into cross hands. Each hand going to its opposite upper corner. Again, push. Sit back and turn. Expansive. Let go, let everything come down, the footsteps. Fill into the final posture. Once more. Fill into the final posture. So there's that alternation of empty and full, expansive and releasing that's going on all the way through there. Again, not like a metronome, but you want to be finding these little bits, and that'll help you make it actually be authentic. So the final posture of cross hands is full. So do this with me. Start out feet parallel, like we've just done the opening move, and sit down. As you sit down, let the hands come up and get to the bottom here and feel full. Feel like this is a big posture, even though you're sitting down. A lot of times people want to do this already standing up. Feel it big here. And then stand back up. And sit back down, letting go. And then fill as you come into the final posture. And hold it here for a second. Feel yourself actually full. So it's big even though you're sitting down. Big on the inside. Feel everything filling the whole body here. And now let it out. Don't move, but just let it get small. And feel the difference. And now fill it from the inside again. a big posture, even though you're sitting down. And now let all the air out, deflates, and fill from the inside again. Know this feeling. That's what we're trying to take a break. That's what we're trying to go for when we get to that posture. So do it again. Release, which starts you moving, and turn. An expansive posture. Arms cut through the air as everything comes down and gets small and the foot steps. Fill into the final posture and make sure you're sitting down. Make sure you didn't stand up while you were doing that, because we've got to be able to stand up next. Again, push. Expansive. Releasing as the hands cut through the air. The foot steps. Fill into the final posture, even as you're sitting down. Great, now we're going to stand up. So we just filled, so the very first thing you do is release, which starts everything going. And now fill the whole shape into coming back to the first standing posture at the beginning. So if we actually take the bellows, the alternation of yin and yang, of empty and full, seriously, you can't go from full to full. You can't go from empty to empty. It always has to alternate. So if this is full, and this is full, which they both are, then how did I get between them? That's like from fullness to fullness. This is the same mistake that people make after the kicks. We've just done all the kicks and we've spun and we do turn and strike with heel, and then people just come down right into another big posture. So from this expansion of kicking, you have to come back to something small, because otherwise you're going full to full. Similarly, you can't go empty to empty. So it always has to be alternating. Yin and yang are always interchanging. So if this is full and this is full, how did I get between the two of them? And so this is where it's not like a metronome. I'm full, release, which starts you moving, and then fill the whole body to get to the opening move. So let's do it another couple times, and we'll look at that. And then I'll say one more thing, and I'll turn it over to Beth. So from the withdraw and push, sit back, expansive posture at the W, releasing as the arms cut through the air. Bring the foot back, full expansive at cross hands, let go. And then feel from your feet all the way up through the body, filling again to get to the opening standing posture. Again. Go ahead. Turning, feel the expansion. Release to drop the hands, rotate the foot, and step. Fill into cross hands. Release. Starts you moving. And now fill. Once more. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to say two things, not just one. One of them, I'm reminded there's a video of Maggie Newman doing the first third, which the videography has some flaws. It's a little over dramatic, but the form is amazing. And one of the things you see her doing at the very end of the first third is you can see her as she gets here to cross hands. You see that everything drops and goes internal. Her eyes drop. And then as she stands up, her eyes raise and open and she comes back into the room. It's actually a really beautiful little moment. Whenever we do in-person workshops and stuff. Again, we'll show that to people. But there's that moment of, as she's here in cross hands, and it's, you know, big and bold, and then you see her go, and then it's like she's waking back up as she comes into the final posture. And so the spirit in the eyes leads the energy. So in that, you see it in her eyes. So she's not just here, like, you know, one of those creepy people who talks to you too close at a party. You know, it has her awareness, her spirit has the same bellows of a fullness, and then a total release, and then a coming back into the room. So let's do it once more. I want you to really try to get that feeling of the alternation of yin and yang, of the bellows working all the way through it. So push, sit back and go. Feeling all the space around you, letting everything come in, aware primarily internally. Feel the world, let go. And now come back up into the world. Now, I don't want to teach you to do all this weird stuff with your eyes. But allow your awareness to go in and out as part of the whole bellows. Okay, and then the thing that actually was the last thing I was going to do is these are the two double 50-50 weight posture. Right? 50-50, 50-50. And we just spent the last couple weeks working on the empty and full in the legs. And in particular, we spent a bunch of time in 70-30, where your front leg is solid, it's what you're standing on, and your rear leg is moving away from you. And, you know, we talked about you're never using both legs the same and all that. Well, so of course there's an exception, right? So these two moves, cross hands, and then this posture, you're using both legs the same. And so the thing about these two is that when you're in cross hands, both legs are as if they were the front leg of a 70-30. So both of them are supporting you and coming into the pelvis. And then when you get up to this posture here, both legs are like the back leg of a 70-30. So both of them are hanging away from you. So we talk about suspended from the rear crown so that the whole open body can hang down from it. And so that's true for the legs too. So here in the opening posture, you've got two back legs from a 70-30. Here in cross hands, you've got two front legs from a 70-30. So those postures are unique, and part of the difference between the two of them, not just the height, is the relationship you have with the legs. And one of Cheng Manching's books has little foot diagrams and shows you the weighting in all of the feet. And the weighting that's shown for this posture here is two 30% legs, two back legs from a 70-30. And so we used to wonder about that and just think it was an error. And we asked our teachers about it. I don't remember if it was Jane or Baton, whichever one it was, or maybe they both told us this. They said, oh yeah, no, what we heard is it's 1/3 in one leg, 1/3 in the other leg, and 1/3 hanging from above. So, you know, obviously, mechanically it doesn't work that way. You know, you don't weigh 2/3 as much as you weigh here. When you're standing up, bathroom scales don't change. But you want to have that feeling of the two legs are hanging away from you. And so part of this from here, as if you push up as you come into the final posture, you're going to end up in the final posture with two full legs. And we want instead two empty legs hanging away from you. And so from cross hands, that very first thing of letting go, and then feel as if you're being lifted up as you come here, so that the legs can lengthen and hang, rather than that you're pushing up. If you push up, you're going to have two full legs. You want to go from full to two empty legs when you get here to the end. So let's do it 3 more times. I won't talk, then I'll turn it over to Beth and try to do everything we just talked about. From withdraw and push, and go ahead. 2 empty legs. Again. Two full legs lifted from above. 2 empty legs. Once more. Suspended from above, the open body hanging down from the head top. Neck, shoulders and chest, abdomen, hips, legs hanging away from you, reaching down towards the ground. And close. Great. So that's one half of it. When we're ending the form or we're only doing a first third, you stand up at the end. If you're going to keep going, we do embrace tiger.
So let's pick up where Lee just left off. And that was coming from here to standing up. And if we're going to keep going past the first third, you're down here, it's inflated and full. Well, what happens next? So I want to first talk about the fact that we've been shown this a couple different ways. So in one version, when you come up to this place and you're going to keep going, you're not 50-50. You stay with the weight in your left leg because then you're going to move out of the left leg. The other version has you come up to weight in both feet at this point, and then drop back down into the left to continue. That's the way I tend to do it these days. Ben Lowe didn't have us shift the weight back into the center in the middle, but you can play around with it yourself. This is where you've got some room for authentic movement, what's happening for you really. So just to look at that again, sitting down, this is a full place, and you can either be in both legs or you can be holding yourself up with the left and letting the right one hang. It shouldn't move you more than, it shouldn't be particularly obvious from the outside. Might move you a little bit, but it shouldn't move you a lot. It's not that I come up to this place and I'm over here because I'm going to stay in my left leg. I want to come up in the center, but if I'm going to do the one where I don't shift 50-50, as I sit down here, so we've just come from here, and as I sit down, I'm letting this one hang even as it's bending equal to this one, but I'm really holding myself up through this one. And yeah, you can do that. Then the other way is that as you come in here and let this fullness happen, you have what Lee was having us do, where both legs are holding you up. So let's just try it doing the one. It's harder. Of course, Ben Lowe would always have us do something that's more impossible, but it is possible. So let's take it from the push again and play with the feeling of whether you're staying in your left leg. We'll do it one in the left leg, we'll do one equal, and then you can see the difference. Now from the push and into the back leg. So now the left leg is hanging away. You shift. Now The right leg is hanging away, and it keeps hanging away. So come into the fullness of this posture, continuing to hold yourself up with one leg and let the other leg go. Feel what that feels like. And we're not going to stand up because that would take us to the next move. Now let's do it again. This time we'll do 50-50. Actually, let's do the same one again because it's a little harder to feel. So into the back leg, moving away from the left. Left is hanging. Now the left is holding you and the right is hanging. The right keeps hanging. The right keeps hanging. You're in your left. Let's do that one more time, and then we'll do 3 of the other one, and you'll feel the difference. And go. Your left leg hangs away. Your right leg releases and hangs away. It keeps releasing and hanging away. You don't change. Now let's do it 50-50. And go. Left releases, right releases, then both are holding you up. So this is obviously an easier place to really have both legs holding you. Let's do it that way again. And go. Both legs are holding you up. Can you just change now and have the left leg hold you up and the right leg hang? Ideally, you should be able to change. Then, okay, now both are holding me up. Now the right leg is hanging. So can you even try to make that change? That might help you feel what we're looking at with this two front legs, one front leg, one back leg. Come back to the center and stand up. 2 back legs. And rest your legs. So obviously you would only do that if you're continuing past the first third. If you can do the first, just stop at the end of the first third, of course you're going to put the weight into both legs and come up through both legs. But because the very next move has you doing it all off the left leg, that's an option. So play around with that. See what feels right for you. If nothing else, going from 2 front legs to 1 front leg and 1 back leg might give you some clues about how you can use those releasing and, the leg holding you up and the leg releasing away. So then there's the next issue of how we move out of that move into Embrace Tiger. So, and again, I'm going to give you a 2-part variation on this. When you work with Ben Lowe, he's very much square form. That's what he calls it. I teach you square form, you have to figure out round form. Maggie's genius was teaching us round form. So doing the square form, what Ben would have us do is we're still in the left leg, and then your right leg steps as your left arm swings up. So you've got this counterbalance going. And that's kind of nice in that it gives you that counterbalance. So let's try that first. So you're in your cross hands. Now go ahead and let the left be the leg that you're using. Regardless if you came from 50-50, you still have to shift into the left leg to keep moving. So get into the left leg and begin. Your hands drop, you turn, the foot pivots, and then right leg, left arm are going to move together as a counter balance to one another. And then you step. Then he would have us fold an arm and complete the move. So let's do that one a couple times, and you can get that sense. One of the advantages of the square form stuff is it really takes everything apart and demands that you see where things are coming from. When you just go to round, you might not see all the distinctions. Then you have to kind of put the square back together and make it be round and flowing, but at least you know the pieces that you came from. So let's do it that way again. So sitting down, shift so that the weight's in the left, and go. Hands drop, turn, left arm, right leg, counterbalancing each other. Now in this moment, it's your right hand that's the counterweight to the weight on your left leg. So don't lose that. Go ahead and notice that if you kind of leave this a little floppy and imprecise, it's really much less balanced than if you act like there's like an anchor that or post that you're holding on to here to help that. And then this emptiness on the arm and opposite leg become more available. So let's do that again and bring some awareness to your right hand. And go, weight in the left, hands drop. Right hand is keeping your balance as left arm and right leg counterbalance one another. And rest your legs. Well, this is just going to keep frying your left leg, so I apologize. Shake them out. And the way that we first learned it before Ben came and kind of split us apart was that as you reached with the right leg, the left hand folded over. So that was a difference in timing. You still have an empty arm and an empty opposite leg, and you still need your right hand to keep your balance. But let's do it the way that, let me just go over it once, since we were just doing the other one, that as you start to step, the arm swings up and folds as the right foot the right heel comes down. Remember, you're trying to step weightless. I'm not going to make you pick up your foot and float it. These big steps, I don't want to put artificial, external, weird things that you're going to do to try and make that happen. But it should step weightless, and ideally you should be able to get it 1 centimeter off the ground without anything else moving before you commit to the shifting. Just do the best that you can. So, sitting down and into the left, hands drop. Now, as your right foot is stepping, your left arm folds. Let's do it again. Shift and step. One more time. So now this hand is all ready. Your foot and your hand are facing the same direction. Your right hand has helped you to keep your balance. And remember, in this one, your right hand rolls over your thigh as you come into the final posture. Otherwise, it's just like any other brush knee, but your hand has folded over, and of course, you're in the corner. So let's look at it one more time. Letting that arm fold so that it arrives and your foot arrives more or less. I don't want you to split yourself up into two places, but just try to see that the movement goes through you so that it plays out. Hand folds, foot steps. and you can complete the move. So Lee had us looking at the fullness and the release, the bellows. The bellows will help this move work. And one of the things that when you start turning the square form round is that the bellows gives it life. Once you're turning corners, you can't stop and make everything square. It's kind of, you know, is it a wave or a particle? When you're doing one, you're not going to be doing the other. So in this, when we go into the roundness, looking at how the bellows works is going to really have an effect on how it enables the move to go through its parts and play out. So before we do it, let me just describe a way to perceive it inside. So we've just talked about how this is a fullness, and so then this is a release. This is a fullness. This is a release. You will find, if you spend time picking the form apart, chances are you're stepping on a release. There's, you know, just think about we were going from word off left into word off right, right? So you release. There's a little bit of a gather, a release that helps you step, even from the opening move. It's the release that you step and start this getting to the small place. So the letting go helps you help your foot go out where you want it to go. So let's do this together and see if you can find that. So, you know, go ahead, stand here and breathe a little bit so that you're not holding your breath. And then get a feeling of fullness and release. Let there be a gathering of fullness and a release to step. So then you complete the move and actually release at the end of it. So that may seem a little counterintuitive. The move comes into fullness, but before you move on to the next move, there's a moment of release. And that often happens, moves like push. Once you've come up to push, there's a letting go. To release, if you were pushing hands with another person, it's, why don't you do it to me, okay? And so he's going to uproot me, but that's not the end of the move. Then he releases, and that's what sends me going. So that sort of thing, you know, and if I'm really resistant, then I give him more to uplift and release. But that happens. So, you know, it's hard. We certainly can't be doing push hands on video, you know. Yeah, right. We won't be doing push hands for a long time. Or, you know, Maggie once had us all in stitches. She was doing one, you know, push hands by herself and saying, "You're too hard, you're too hard," you know. So obviously when you're by yourself, you can't do push hands, and we're not going to be getting that close to one another for a long time. But the idea is still there that, you know, let's just, you know, do push with me, just so that you get the idea from press. So there's you know, a fullness as you come up here, and then a release to let the person go. And that release that lets the person go, if you're not doing push hands and you're actually doing the form, that release starts you moving into the next posture. So that will happen often. That's what happens here as we go into Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain. So let's take it from here. Feel yourself inflate, feel the fullness of this posture, and then let it go. Let it inflate again. Let it go and help you step. It inflates, and let there be a little release, because what happens next has a fullness to it. Now, I was just exaggerating. So if you saw me kind of doing that, that's because I wanted you to. You don't want to make that visible on the outside. You don't want to have a form that looks like you know, but that's what's happening inside. You keep changing your relationship to ground, the bellows plays out through you, and things happen, and it leads you from one spot to the next. So let's do that again. I won't exaggerate this time. I want you to just get the sense of feeling the bellows, feeling it help you make the move. One of the things that I like about the folding the arm, going into it from a more round form place, is that I think it helps avoid disconnecting the left arm. So what I see happen a lot, wondering which direction to face, is this. When the other person steps, watch this arm. Or when the other leg steps, watch this arm. See how it kind of got pulled away and is disconnected from the rest of my body? It can look like that's what we're doing, because especially if you're working the square form version of it, and you step, and there's this arm, oh, it must have to go to the back corner, that's where arms swing up to, and then there's this big disconnect, and it only makes the step harder, and then you have to bring your arm back with you again and bring it back to the center. Better if it never leaves there. So whether you're doing square form or round form, it's the same, but I think it's a little easier to feel it when you're doing the round form version, because you're aiming for folding it over already, and so I think it's a little less likely to get pulled away as you're moving into what comes next. So do this one with me a bit, and into the left, come up. Now think about the fact that this arm is folding over as you step. Let's do it that way again. And really feel that you never are going away from this arm. It's not leaving the rest of your body. And now let's do it, and we'll do it square form, not because square form makes you do this, but because it's easier to get yourself in that circumstance. Step, and leave that arm behind, and feel what that does. Now, release it to a place where it's more where you want to be, and you can really feel that difference of, this is a really hard place to keep my balance. As soon as I let it just be where it needs to be, my balance comes back. So whether it's square or round, make sure you don't split yourself apart as that arm is swinging up. So let's close up with, we'll just go from push at the end of the first third to push in the corner after embrace tiger. And we'll all face the same way. So, and go. Okay, great. And keep relaxing.